Great. Thank you so much, Jordana. As you mentioned, I am Lucas Walker of Gorgias. We are a help desk for e-commerce, but really going beyond that in a lot of ways that we're going to be talking about today, and helping a lot of brands who have had to close their physical stores bring that same experience online with their customers. So let's do a quick round of introductions of the panel. Katie, if you want to go first, followed by Elizabeth, and then Runa, just because that's the order that I see you on my Zoom, and then Jennifer as well. Go ahead and introduce yourselves for the audience. And audience, if you want to type in the chat box where you're watching from as well, always love seeing how many people are coming in from around the world.
Thank you, Lucas. So my name is Katie Goldblatt. I'm a director at Rapport London. We are a fourth generation family business that was established in 1898. So heritage is a very big deal for us. We basically manufacture watch accessories and leather goods for both men and women. And we distribute all over the world.
Oh, wow. And it's amazing too, you started in 1888 and then Jennifer just recently launched. So I think that's kind of a cool segue to go off the train already. But Jennifer, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself now?
Sure. So hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Stucco. I am the founder and CEO of Prota Fiori, which is a sustainable women's luxury footwear brand, fully sourced and made in Italy. As Lucas just mentioned, I founded the company just in 2019 and launched this month. We're making beautiful handcrafted footwear in Italy, made out of some first to market sustainable materials.
Awesome. And Runa, do you want to do a little intro of yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Lucas. I would like to start off by thanking Jordana, Marcelo, Lucy from the UN office, and of course, Fashinnovation, the greatest platform for worldwide talks. Really excited to be here. I'm Runa Ray, Indian-born designer. I founded my private label called Runa Ray in 2012. It focuses on sustainability, and we try to include the SDG goals in various aspects of the industrial process of making garments. I've done the New York Fashion Week 3 times and have been a part of the Act Now campaign with the UN and a sustainable partner for the SDG goals.
Great, thank you so much. And Elizabeth, finally, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, thank you. It's so nice to be here with all of you, and thank you to the Fashinnovation team. My name is Elizabeth Suda. I'm co-founder of Article 22, which is actually named after the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is everyone's right to social, economic, and cultural security. What we do is we use design to tell transformation stories, and specifically our jewelry is upcycled from Vietnam War shrapnel and other scrap by artisans in Laos. And every piece is also not only telling a story about the people that make it and where it comes from, but also the future, because every piece is helping to clear some of the 80 million unexploded bombs from their lineup.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's scary to think just how much military shrapnel is still just out there floating around. And you go back and they find stuff from even the Civil War in the 1800s of just like undetonated bombs just in backyards, which is just, it's crazy to think how much of that is still around. So thank you for not only producing very, very nice accessories, but making the world a little bit of a safer place as well. And I think that's a great segue into the first question here. What does sustainability mean to you? And I think this is something that's really important to hear from everyone. And I don't just mean sustainability in general, but specifically related to fashion. And something that I want to share first off is really having a sustainable process of being able to, if you have a large increase in orders, having the operations and supply chain to be able to fulfill it, whether it's a website like Shopify that can handle all of the traffic that comes on after you're featured on Good Morning America, to a 3PL who can help you get all those orders out so people aren't waiting for 2 weeks for their order to come out. And obviously I'm gonna naturally have a bias towards Gorgias as well, a way to sustainably scale all of your customer conversations when they have questions, and not just from a operations perspective, but also in ways that reduce things like returns, because that's more emissions, it's more cardboard, it's more labels returning it. But also a lot of times a slightly used article of clothing that somebody bought and wants to return because it's not the right size, it's not sustainable. You can't really resell something that was worn 3 times. So unfortunately, for a lot of brands, especially a lot of fast fashion brands, that just ends up in landfills or being shipped off. So I'd be really curious to hear what sustainability in fashion means to everyone on the panel. Katie, do you want to go first, and then we'll go around the Zoom order here?
Sure, no problem. So firstly, sustainable is a wide used word at the moment, and it's so hard to define. But for us as a business, I think, we are sustainable purely by our age. We were established over 120 years ago, and everything we do with our values and our principles basically are sustainable. And that goes anywhere from the sustainability of our balance sheets, our supply chain, our customers. And so everything we do has to be sustainable. Yes, of course, it's changed over the years, but more and more importantly now, and especially as COVID has put this in the forefront of everyone's mind, we have to be respectful of the planet. And really, the resources are not everlasting. So whatever we do, we have to be mindful of that. I think also, though, it's a balance, if I'm honest with you. Some businesses are in a different stage of manufacturing and different processes. So, for some businesses, it's easy to start with sustainability straight away. For other businesses, it's a slow burn. But I do believe that we have to be mindful and appreciate the resources that we have for ourselves. And if we don't do that, we're going to ruin the planet that we've created. I think what's very, very key to note as well, in China, for example, in February, there was a 25% less carbon emission because obviously the output in the factories were not at capacity. And so, as you've said, Lucas, with fast fashion, I think the whole fashion industry is going to basically be turned upside down. And lots of the brands are having to produce twice a year different shows, different selections, and the waste, as you've alluded to on the back of that, it's just shameful. So for us, I think that our challenge with sustainability is to look at the environmental context. But I think as a brand, we have and will continue to be sustainable going forward.
And that's a really great point too, that you mentioned. You are sustainable by age, and a lot of businesses we see, they go out and they raise $100 million of capital, and then they just put that all into marketing. And when Facebook becomes a little bit more expensive to run ads, or in the case of right now, so if you were a direct consumer suitcase company, which is a fashion statement, when you go through the airport, they're not seeing those sales right now. So it is really having a sustainable business model to last you through everything. And I thought you made a really great point there. So the same question for you: what does sustainability really mean to you and your business?
Sorry, me?
Elizabeth.
Oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry. Yes, so for us, it really started with listening to the community that we work with in Laos. And it was realizing what ancient wisdom they hold and what we have to learn from them. And very specifically, the artisans that we work with started upcycling American dropped Vietnam War bombs into soup spoons in the 1970s. And that was an absolutely brilliant local innovation because they ate a lot of noodle soup. And so there was an economically viable product, and they were, taking this scrap metal out of the ground and using it for a higher purpose. And so when I had the occasion to meet them years ago, we had the idea to create a bracelet, and the idea was, well, let's use it as a tool to buy back the bombs and clear that land. But when you think of sustainability, as Katie said, it means so many different things. And the way that we at Article 22 define it as this balance between 4 main factors, and that's the economic, the environmental, the cultural, and the social. And so, economically, you have to put a product out there that that is competitive and that people actually want to buy. And if you do that and you back it up by the fact that you're using materials that are either being repurposed or that have been developed in the most sort of environmentally safe way, you know, there you go. There's point 2 in the sustainability matrix. For us, point 3 was the cultural context. It was their local innovation, and we, working together with them, were able to expand the market, generate far more income for their livelihoods, which were before subsistence farming, and then also clean the land up by donating to our nonprofit partner that does that, Nobel Peace Prize co-laureate Minds Advisory Group. And then the 4th point is kind of a good one to end on, and that's the social. The artisans we work with have been working from home within their tight-knit community in their gardens for years. Now the community making the jewelry, their 2nd generation, and they are multidimensional people, as we all are. They're mothers and fathers, and they may make other crafts, and they are able to work from within their community without destroying the social fabric of that community. So it's really a balance of those 4 things in the way we practice it at Article 22.
You know, that's a wonderful response. And you bring up a really interesting point too, which I think we should have a follow-up question on for the panel after this round, but really how the results of your business can enhance sustainability, not just from an offsetting perspective, but also in a totally different aspect. In your instance, it could be creating jobs and more of an economy out in Laos, which makes your supply chain a lot more sustainable for your business, but also can do things like reduce a lot of negative impacts of just, well, not having an economy there. So I'm definitely going to come back with a follow-up question for the panel after that. But first, Runa, what does sustainability in fashion really mean to you and your business, Runa Ray?
I really love this question because this is something which I frame my entire company on. So for us as designers, sustainability is keeping the end in mind. When you create a product, you need to know what's going to happen towards the when the product is completely, you know, like created, what is going to happen to it. So what we do is that we try to identify like key problems that could actually exist in the industry, which could be like, you know, which pertains mostly towards climate change. Like, say, for example, you have like water, which is being polluted. So how do you help mitigate that? What are the processes that you could probably include in your design process? Like we created a collection called the Blue Mess, which was to do with printing of 200 meters of fabric using just like 40 liters of water. And it is contained in a tray, the inks float, and you have seaweed. So there's no pollutant that's coming into the water, and it can be easily disposed of. We worked with another technique called chlorophyll printing, where we extracted dyes from discarded flowers and leaves that are left behind in the flower markets. These dyes are again used on fabric. It's definitely beautiful. You don't need digital print when you use dyes of this sort. So for me, sustainability is trying to find out different ways that you could probably, different ways and methods that you could include in your design process. Like there was another one which is really dear to my heart, which is zero stitching. So you don't have any garment that's actually stitched, because it's folded, so you don't have fabric waste that's generated. You have a lot of people who can learn the technique and take this forward. The point that you made about a lot of garments that are ending up in landfill. So what we do now is with garments that are made naturally, we tend to recycle them and make them into paper. So it goes back into the industry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we try to incorporate like circular green economies when it comes to designing or manufacturing, which is probably going to be better for the long run.
Oh, yeah. That's really awesome. And then Jennifer, same question to you. What does sustainability in fashion mean to you? But also, as you launched your business, because I imagine there's quite a few people watching at home or wherever they're isolating. How did sustainability really factor into your business plan as you were planning to launch, and even at the launch of your business, Jennifer?
Sure. So I love this question because I was inspired to build Prota Fiori because I saw that the fashion industry was the second most polluting industry in the world towards climate change. So when I developed the concept to make sustainable footwear made in Italy, it was really based off the belief that sustainability is preserving the past while maintaining the future. And what that means to me and to the brand is preserving something beautiful of the past, which is our humanity, which is craftsmanship, which is made in Italy, which is shoemaking, artisanship. That's sustainability, and then it's taking that and merging it with something of the future, which is what Runa touched upon and Elizabeth, sustainable materials, so eco-conscious materials that aren't harming the planet. So that's what sustainability truly means to me. It's merging the past and the future. At Prota Fiori, what we're doing is we're creating sustainable products. We're reinforcing sustainable manufacturing, and we're also considering sustainability in our 3PL, like you mentioned earlier. So it's everything. In summary, for us, sustainability is doing good. At the end of the day, our business is to do good, and that is our mission. So what we do to make sure that we're being sustainable with our practices is we're actually applying for the B Corporation certificate. So what that means is me as a company, I'm tracking and I'm holding myself accountable for all of my business policies, all of my business practices, whether it's economic, social, environmental, or government. So to me, it's important to track all of those things. I think that that's one actionable item the fashion industry can take. It's not just a certificate, it's about holding yourself accountable. And in terms of my launch, which you mentioned, so we are a business that's built on the ethos of sustainability. And as I mentioned, our mission is to do good. So when I decided to launch this month, which was a little early, it was because I felt a call to action to really support my Italian suppliers, to support my Italian network, my Italian manufacturers, our social impact partners in Sicily, where we have a social impact florist that we're growing. It was really to maintain those partnerships and the strength that we have. And it was also to support our communities. So part of the proceeds of our sales are going towards 2 hospitals. So to me, that's sustainability, that's doing good, that's preserving humanity. I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's, it's a holistic approach to your business. So those are some of the things that we're doing right now, and that I'm seeing really positive responses from, because they are so genuine and they truly do come from the heart.
Yeah, and I think that the phrase that you use, connecting the past with the future in a way that you can continue to have a future, really resonated well. And even to get really holistic, I love that you're connecting the past, which could have been a garment, and because the dyes that you used transforms into now paper or something different, the way that Runa mentioned. So I really love that. So in terms of the next question, if anyone wants to take it, feel free to jump in, but I know we were talking about this a little bit before in the green room. What has the impact of COVID been on your business? Whether Katie, you've been around for over 120 years, or Jennifer, you just started. I'd love to hear how COVID-19 has impacted your business and what shifts and adjustments you've made to adjust.
Sure. Katie, go first.
Okay, so I mean, it's an extremely challenging and trying times for us, as it is for many other people. But we own our own manufacturing. So obviously that's had to stop. About a month ago, we've stopped making anything. We are running a very skeleton operation in our warehouse to fulfill the orders that we can. The most paramount of importance is the health and well-being of our staff. That goes without saying. So in terms of day to day, we're not fully operational, but we're doing what we can. We are fostering a sense of community, though, which I think is really important. Amid all this social distancing, through virtual gatherings, through summits like this and webinars, we're being very much in contact with our suppliers, but also with our top key wholesale accounts and customers, because ultimately without them we have nothing. So I would say that probably in the first month we were in major crisis management, working out what we're going to do, how we're going to do this. But actually, on reflection, a month later, I think that, as ironic as it is, it's a time just to pause. As fast life goes, this is actually, for us as a brand, a good time to look back and really decide what our values are. Where do we want to go when we come out of this? Who do we want to be? And so for us, I think that we are now don't get me wrong, we're still massively crisis managing, but we're also now looking at what do our customers want? We've got a lot of data that we can now analyze and say, if for example, there's a demand for a certain product that we're currently not making, we're going to go and start researching and prototyping. So it's really a time that we've kind of taken stock and look at where we want to go. The only thing I would say though, for us, we're trying to protect our top line. Ultimately, we want to retain our staff, and we want to be able to fulfill some of the relationships and accounts and orders that we've had for a very long time, but also new partners as well. So I think that we've invested a lot more online than we've ever had, and we ever probably thought we would have done. Being such a traditional business, we've had to evolve and change very rapidly over the last few years. And even more so in the last, we took the decision pre-COVID to build a new website. And at the time we weren't convinced that was the right thing, but I'm so happy that we decided to do that, because more than ever, digital transformation is happening very, very quickly, and we need to be ahead of it, not behind it. And so that will enable us to react post normality, whatever the new normality will be. I think the other thing as well is that we are dedicating a lot more time to Facebook ads, Google Shop, our CRM system, really sending emails to our customers and our clients, and just being there in whatever voice of tone we feel relevant. So it's really trying times, but we're managing as best we can, as probably most people are.
Mm-hmm. And we have a follow-up question, Katie, from the audience at home. Did COVID-19 expedite anything that you were wanting to do or hoping to do, or was it a lot of stuff that you wouldn't have done at all if it was with COVID?
That's a really good question. I think that it actually has expedited and accelerated us looking at our product range, actually. We've got a vast amount of SKUs, which we've latently had and developed over time. And I think what this is doing is it's enabling us to actually listen to our audience and taking what they would like on board and to go away and develop. And I think that if COVID hadn't happened for us, we would probably be racing on, running around, everybody doing what they do, but actually not taking stock of actually what we've got and where we want to go. So I'm always a believer in the glass is half full, no matter how bad anything is. So we've got to just look at it as a positive. Pause, look at what our audience was, reassess where we want to go and what we want to be, and let's just make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd love to hear from the other panelists on how COVID-19 really impacted your business as well. So I know that Jennifer, we can wrap it up with you, but Elizabeth or Runa, do either of you want to chime in with some of the impacts of COVID on your business? Elizabeth, I see you nodding your head yes, so why don't you go next there? I'm hoping it impacted in a good way, by the way, that you wanted to answer.
Well, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart, and that's the case times, because
it's not. I thought it was easy. The gurus told me I just launched some Facebook ads and I'm driving a Lamborghini next week. That's not how it works,
right? Facebook is the new rent. Whatever we don't pay in retail space, Facebook is the new rent. So this
yep.
is, next.
Are you working with Rez over at Shoelace? I've heard him say that quite a few times.
Oh no, but I think it's
true.
I mean, I can't agree more with what Katie said about how this is a moment to pause, and it's a moment to do whatever you do, sit by the fire, swirl your martini, meditate, whatever it is, and you create that empty space in your brain and you think about, the next steps. And so, yes, it's hard. And we've lost 2 sales channels of our business, which is our retail events channel, and then our wholesale partners who have been with us for a very long time, and we were really excited to sign new ones on. And they are dealing with the fact of physical rent that they have to deal with paying. So that was really hard, but fortunately, although we weren't the fastest to take advantage of the amazing internet technology that exists, at the same time, we were born online. And this has created an opportunity for us to really become comfortable in our home, which is the internet, and learn how to navigate that space. And that means learning new technical skills. It means being more present and putting our faces out there and our voices out there, which can be a scary thing to do, but I think that's been really interesting. We have a CRM platform, customer relationship management, that we thankfully implemented prior to COVID about a year ago, and it's called Klaviyo, and that has proven to really work and allow us to communicate with our customers in a very direct way. And that accounts for customers who are on Instagram and aren't on Instagram. And we can really create special offers for them. And we kind of have a sense of what people's preferences are. So I would say that the big change for us is that it's provided us with focus, and it's focused on a place where we can really connect with our community, and as many stories as we may tell them, they're telling us. And so we're trying to think about how to share those stories with the wider world.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good point to segue from one of the questions from the audience about with the Gorgias and social distancing, how are we seeing growth in the business? And we've traditionally done a lot of events. So normally we would go to the Fashion Innovation event in person, meet with a lot of brands, show them what we're all about. But it's been interesting for us. We've seen almost a boom this month, maybe not compared to what it normally would have been, but definitely compared to last month. And I think the reason for that is, as more and more brands are trying to get online, they realize, okay, it's not, social distancing isn't going to be over come May 1st. It's in it for the long haul. There needs to be a way to interact with those customers sort of one-to-one. If they have questions, they want that same in-store experience. They don't want to feel like they're buying their shoes or their clothes from a vending machine. Oftentimes there'll be a question of how does this top fit in the shoulders? Just little things like that you just don't often get on a product display page. So I wanted to segue into that question from the audience. Runa, did you have anything that you wanted to add in as well about how COVID-19 has impacted your business?
Yes. So I found this period of time very important to educate the customers, get them to actually understand what sustainable fashion was all about, because we've been talking a lot about this, but there are a lot of people who really do not know what sustainable is. And if they do think it's sustainable, they think it's boring. They do not know you could actually get something really beautiful out. And there's a reason behind the collection that is made that is called sustainable, and you're also contributing to it. So I found this time very important for me as a designer to do a lot of fashion activism, to connect with the customers. I also use this time because I realized I'm a part of a lot of these groups, and everybody's making masks for the people in the front line who are working really hard with the COVID virus, but there are no masks available. So I decided as a designer, what happens if you do not know how to use a machine? So I created this technique where you use a t-shirt and you can tie it up. You make a mask and you leave the main mask for the people in the front line, but everyone in the family remains safe. This really took off. So it got like 1 million views over different platforms.
Oh, wow.
And I had like children mailing me with photographs. So they made masks for themselves and their dolls and the families. So it became like a big family event, but everyone was staying safe. So to answer your question, I think this period in time is definitely important for us designers to start thinking as to what direction we need to probably take our business in, and how it is going to definitely imbibe, like I keep repeating, the SDG goals, because even though we have like a lot of them, it could be imbibed in each and every process of the business. And now this is the time when you can actually think and do it without, the stress of all the work and everything that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just such a great concept. I was trying to find the video, but it gets to the point of, if I have a great N95 mask, I don't want to be wearing it. I need something to protect other people from, as Prime Minister Trudeau said, speaking moistly. And when you're a real animated speaker like me, you almost spit while you're talking. And that's, you don't want to be just spitting there at people while you're talking. So I need the cloth mask to just protect everyone around me. So I love that you do that with the t-shirt design. Well, Jennifer, this is selfishly how the question I've been most wanting to ask you. How did launching your e-commerce business, how did that really impact how did COVID-19 impact the launch and how you were planning leading up to it? Because especially from sort of middle March to maybe last week, it was almost everything was changing hour to hour.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So initially, we had a very traditional launch approach, and there was nothing, we weren't taking into consideration the environment that was happening around us. So we had to take a step back and pause for a moment and see if this was really the time that we really wanted to come out and what that message would be. So in the end, I really felt like, my mission is to do good. And I felt like I had the power to use my platform as a voice to create awareness around COVID and to support hospitals by donating proceeds of sales to those hospitals. And then at the same time, by just creating awareness around our brand and who we are and being there for people. Our goal right now is really just to show who we are as a brand. In the end, it's about creating that community. It's about sharing our positivity, our grace, our strength. I'm a female founder with the startup. I think there's a lot of people out there in the same boat or people that would like to support that. So I think that by coming out with a message that says we're a community first and we're building our community based off these values, and we're using our platform to help in this moment, and that's our first concern. I think that is the best approach, and we've actually been receiving so much positive feedback from people all over about just how authentic we really are right now. So obviously with our business plan, we've pushed back things, a few months in 2020. Our business is primarily online. So that's exciting for me because digital has been the focus, but now it's even more the focus. And sustainability has been a focus and an upward trend, and now it's going even faster. So for us, I'm taking this moment as an opportunity to be there for people and to share our values and our positivity, really.
And I think that's absolutely the right way to do it. And it leads into another question from the audience here. Being that you are a startup, how large is e-commerce going to play a role in launch? Obviously, it's all of it now. But when things, if they ever go back to normal, who knows what malls or shopping centers will look like in the future? Will you still aim to do some retail, or do you think that you'll focus mostly online exclusively?
I wouldn't say exclusively. I think every business has to be omni-channel in some manner. So for me, what that means is expanding our direct channels, whether it's pop-ups, whether it's permanent retail, whether it's going to wholesale with some strategic partners. There is a whole health and wellness factor to our brand. So I see a lot of opportunity in that industry and in beauty as well, with more products that we'll be launching later in the year in 2021. So I wouldn't say that we will be 100% online. We'll definitely diversify our channels.
Perfect. And we are coming up on time here. So I think that there was, I think we have time for really one more last question here. So I'm just going to double check our panel questions. And there's one that I'm really dying to ask, and I want to get into another one. So I'm going to try to blend them here. But one thing that we've seen at Gorgias is a lot more brands using one-to-one communications throughout the website. So people come on, they want to ask a question. Maybe it's where the shoes are made or how you source some of the watch accessories. So it could be how the timer works or about the dyes that are being used. People are behaving a lot differently as they come through the website. So what are some of the trends that we're seeing now, specifically around COVID-19? What trends do you think will stay, but also around fashion in general? Some people are asking, is sustainability still sustainable despite harsh economic conditions? Are people going more sustainable? Will people still go to the website like they go to the mall in person? So if you were to pick your top probably 2 trends that are going to come out of COVID-19 and how that's impacting sustainability in your business, I'd be really curious to know what those are. So I know I kind of spitballed that question, but Runa, do you want to get us started on some of the trends that you think will come out of this? Maybe your top 1 to 3, and then we'll let all the panelists wrap up here in the next 8 minutes or so.
Yeah, sure, Lucas. I think the important trend that would probably come out of this would be nature-based solutions to design, where we probably use a lot more renewable energy. We decide how the consumer is going to be more focused on knowing how much carbon footprint that was actually generated by the garment. We would also see a merger of tech and fashion. So tech in the sense, I would mean that you would probably have apps which would read the barcode and tell you what is behind the garment, what actually went behind the process, what was the carbon footprint that the garment generated, when do you wash the garment, how much of microfilaments might be like disposed in the water if you wash this. So there's more traceability for the consumer to find out exactly, again, what garment they're purchasing and do they really want to be a part of it. The third thing, which I think I'm going to see pretty strong, is consumers getting to be a part of the entire sustainable realm. So it's not just going to be designers and entrepreneurs. They're going to be a lot of consumers. They're going to be scientists. They're going to be people from different fields who are going to come together. And this is going to be a huge family because of the pandemic, we're all in this together. It's something which has hit us worldwide. It's not like certain countries are just affected. This is a global scale. So this is where we know that we are united, and with the hashtag of fashion is love, everything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. And I think that a lot of what you said is all sustainable. Knowing the carbon footprint of a garment, that doesn't necessarily impact how cheaply or how fast it was made. Sustainable can be economical and look good. In a lot of ways, it's more economical. I wear a lot of merino wool just because it's less polyester and it's more comfortable. But because it's better quality, I buy less shirts. So to me, sustainability is actually a lot more affordable. Plus, it's better quality of products and it's just better for the environment. So why would you not choose a sustainable option? Jennifer, how about yourself? What are probably 2 or 3 things that you think will come out of COVID-19 that will alter the path of your business?
Yeah, so I think one of the most important trends that we'll see coming out of this is the shift in the consumer mindset. And this one is the most exciting to me because I think it's one of the most positive. I think that, the consumer is sitting at home right now and truly evaluating life and purpose and all of these deep things that we all contemplate. And I think they'll be looking for more purpose when we come out of this. And when you think of the easiest way to have purpose in life, it's truly by changing your habits. And how does that apply to the fashion industry? Well, when they go shopping again, hopefully not out of just survival for food, they're going to want to shop with purpose, and they're going to want to feel good when they spend their money. So I'm hopeful that they will be much more conscious, and sustainable fashion and shopping will truly become the new norm. I think that will be a huge trend coming out of this, because essentially when a consumer buys something that makes them feel good because they know they just did good, they feel good and they have purpose. And I think that that is something that everyone is kind of feeling right now. How can I help? And if it's a small business, if it's a healthcare worker, if it's themselves, you know, everyone wants to feel good about helping someone. So I think the shift in the mindset will be huge, and that will determine the direction of the industry. So brands that are not authentic, that are not honest, that are not changing their ways, whether because they can't right now financially or they just have no interest, I think the second trend will be this Darwinian like effect, this Darwinian shakeout, where we'll see, you know, a lot of change in the industry with companies either M&As, acquisitions, or you know, they're just kind of going away. So I think that those are the two biggest trends that will happen: the shift in the consumer mindset, and it's just the shift in the industry in general will truly change the landscape.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I mean, you see it all over social media. A lot of universities that have billion-dollar endowments getting funding right now that could go towards smaller brands. I think customers and that are shifting to want to support more
Yeah.
smaller businesses. So that's a great point. Katie, do you want to talk about maybe 2 or 3 things that could be changed and really habits and behaviors because of COVID-19 that you think you'll see moving forward after we get out of all of this?
Sure. So I think one of the most valuable propositions of change actually is going to be that as a brand, you need to be more customer centric, more transparent, more engaged, more informative. I think we all need to be more digitally agile. And whatever that is going to be, it's fast paced, and you can, you know, we're fast evolving with that. But brands that are going to be successful and really reach out to their clients are going to have that digital agility. And I think finally, sustainability, you know, it's not going to go away, and nor should it be, whether it's from packaging to materials, you know, whatever it means to you personally or as a brand. I think that's going to be very important. But I also believe that education too, for brands, to educate your client, your customer, who you are, what you do, how you source, because at the end of the day, we need to have a greater intimacy with our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And I cannot agree more. And it's interesting. Our internal data of Gorgias shows everything that you just mentioned is just really hitting on all those topics. So Elizabeth, we've got about 2 or 3 minutes left here. Do you want to take us home with your predictions and changes?
Well, I certainly agree with the points about consumer consciousness, but it's going to be a huge opportunity for small businesses as well. The more customers are conscious of what sustainability is and how their decisions about what they purchase actually have a very real impact for real people at all points along the supply chain and across the globe. That is also a business opportunity. And we live in a world where small businesses have more than just a shot of making not only a difference in terms of building a business, but also in all of the ways that they prove out their sustainability. And I think that's exciting. And it's going to mean that founders need to have the courage to get out there and talk about it and not be afraid to do so. And I think the other aspect of it is linked to that, which is transparency. And this blockchain technology that everyone is talking about does help provide some validity to those claims about the supply chain. And I would just end on the point of storytelling. I think that you know, there was a point in time where marketing budgets were, you know, about pure fantasy. And I think that's beautiful. It's wonderful to dream. But at the same time, we're all living right now in a world where we're all living different versions of the same exact experience. And it makes us realize how interconnected we are. And I think any brand that is going to be able to address that point and, you know, create that intimate conversation even between their producers and their consumers is going to win.